Okay, let's dive right into this. Today we are unpacking a totally fascinating concept that comes straight from the legendary Dolores Cannon and her decades of hypnotic regression research. Through her work with literally thousands of clients, she stumbled onto something pretty remarkable about why certain people feel this intense, almost magnetic pull towards specific life experiences. So in this explainer, we're going to break down the idea of divinely orchestrated compulsions, what Cannon coined your sacred addictions.
But first, let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you just kind of don't fit into conventional society? Like maybe you've had this overwhelming, persistent urge to seek out a deeper meaning. Or maybe you've carried around a profound restlessness that you just can't seem to shake. If you've ever felt isolated because your drive for purpose is just so intense, well, the source material we're looking at today might finally explain why you've always felt, a bit different from the crowd.
According to Cannon's research, those unique feelings actually belong to a specific group she calls chosen souls. These are individuals, often referred to as volunteers, starseeds, or lightworkers, who reportedly incarnated from higher dimensions right during this pivotal time on Earth. Now, here's the catch. Cannon posits that the really dense vibration of Earth actually causes these souls to completely forget their true nature and their specific missions. It's a sort of spiritual amnesia. But to counter that amnesia, they come equipped with very specific energetic signatures. It's basically a built-in mechanism to help them remember exactly why they are here.
Now, what's really interesting here is the contrast. When we normally hear the word addiction, we instantly think of harmful, destructive habits, right? But Cannon's concept completely flips the script. She outlines 6 sacred addictions. And these aren't destructive at all. Actually, they're divinely orchestrated compulsions. You can think of them like a spiritual GPS. Whenever human consciousness tries to resist, or maybe gets totally lost in earthly distractions, these compulsions kick in and pull these souls firmly back to their authentic path.
So, we can group these 6 sacred addictions into 3 core themes. Theme 1 is the intake of wisdom, which covers relentless truth and insatiable learning. Let's look at the first one.
The very first sacred addiction is the addiction to truth. And I don't just mean a preference for honesty. For these folks, it is an almost painful compulsion. These individuals literally feel physically uncomfortable around lies, deception, or even just social pretense. They absolutely cannot tolerate surface-level explanations. They have this relentless need to peel back the layers of illusion and see what's really underneath. This natural drive often turns them into researchers, whistleblowers, and teachers. They act as way-showers for transparency. But that same trait frequently leaves them feeling incredibly isolated in a world where, let's face it, a lot of people just prefer comfortable lies.
That naturally leads into the second sacred addiction, the addiction to learning. But again, we have to throw out the conventional definition here. We're not talking about traditional academics or hoarding college degrees. According to Cannon's regression subjects, this is an insatiable hunger to download information from what they called schools between lifetimes. So they might suddenly develop this intense, seemingly out-of-nowhere grasp of quantum physics or ancient history or complex energy healing. And they aren't learning just for their own personal advancement. They are gathering vast amounts of information to actively share with the rest of humanity.
So how does this actually play out in reality? Well, first off, they entirely bypass conventional limitations. They learn kinesthetically, or intuitively, through direct experience and feeling, way more than just, reading a textbook. And the really wild part is how the universe steps in. It orchestrates these incredible synchronicities for them. It constantly provides the exact teachers, the right books, or the perfect situations they need, exactly when they need them. Ultimately, this lets them act as a powerful bridge connecting scientific mechanisms with deep spiritual truths.
All right, moving right along to theme 2, the outward expression. This covers a compulsion for healing and absolute authenticity. The third addiction is perfectly summarized by this quote right from the source material. They cannot witness pain without feeling called to help, whether that pain is physical, emotional, mental, or spiritual. This addiction to healing usually shows up super early in life. Think about the little kids who are always comforting crying friends or constantly bringing home stray, injured animals. As they grow into adults, Cannon notes that they naturally carry these advanced healing frequencies in their energy field. And those frequencies? They just seem to activate automatically the second they're around any kind of suffering.
But, and this is a big but, navigating this healing addiction is not easy. Sure, they are driven to alleviate suffering and they're naturally drawn to unconventional modalities like energy or voice healing. But because their empathy is so off the charts, they are highly prone to unconsciously absorbing other people's emotional baggage. It's a beautiful gift for sure, but it frequently causes them to totally neglect their own needs. So learning to set really strict energetic boundaries isn't just a nice self-care tip for these individuals, it is absolutely vital for their survival.
Okay, the fourth sacred addiction is the addiction to authenticity. This is essentially an inability to be anything other than 100% genuine. If they're forced to put on a social mask, play office politics, or just suppress who they really are to fit in, they don't just get annoyed, they experience deep, profound unhappiness and can even become physically ill. Many of these souls have felt like total outsiders since they were kids, simply because they literally do not have the capacity to fake it the way others seem to do so easily.
And this sets up a really fascinating dynamic between social conformity and spiritual magnetism. Conformity offers temporary safety, right? It gives you a social advantage. It's definitely the easier road. But by refusing to take that easy road, these individuals activate spiritual magnetism. Their raw authenticity acts like a giant magnet. It attracts kindred spirits, their true soul family, and it creates this amazing safe space that gives everybody else permission to drop their own masks. It takes a ton of courage, but it rapidly hones their ability to read people's true energy and intentions. Let's move into our final grouping. Theme 3, the divine connection, exploring higher consciousness and the urgency of purpose.
The fifth sacred addiction is the addiction to higher consciousness. And let's be clear here. We're not talking about a casual 10-minute meditation using an app. We're talking about a profound, deep-seated homesickness for higher dimensions. They are intensely driven toward expanded states of awareness just to maintain a lifeline to their true home. Because of this, they often feel totally out of step with conventional stuff like climbing the corporate ladder or acquiring material wealth. They trust their inner guidance way more than any external authority, acting as literal conduits to pull higher wisdom down into the earth plane.
Finally, we reach the sixth one, the addiction to divine purpose. This one shows up as an overwhelming sense of urgency and restlessness. They constantly feel like a clock is ticking, like time is running out to fulfill some specific pre-birth agreement. Now, as you can imagine, this can cause a lot of anxiety, especially when they don't consciously know what that specific mission actually is yet. But this inner alarm clock serves a massive purpose. It completely stops them from ever settling for purely selfish or superficial goals. They can't just exist, they are driven to make a genuine impact. If that sense of urgency sounds a bit overwhelming to you, take a look at this incredible insight from the text. Often, the journey of seeking itself is part of their mission. That restless searching, it's actually by design. It's not a flaw, it's a feature. It keeps these individuals constantly questioning, constantly growing, and always open to divine guidance. And just by living their lives that way, they naturally inspire everyone around them to start questioning and growing too.
Which brings us to our final section, the empowering conclusion, embracing your spiritual superpowers. So the real magic is in how all of this comes together. These 6 addictions aren't just random, isolated quirks. They lock together to form a complete fail-proof spiritual guidance system. Think about it. Your addiction to truth helps others question their illusions. Your drive for learning expands the collective consciousness. Your healing instinct helps the world recover. Your higher consciousness brings wisdom down to earth. Your authenticity gives others permission to be genuine. And your drive for divine purpose, that anchors an entirely new human paradigm. It's a closed loop. If you resist one of them, the others just intensify to pull you right back onto your path.
I want to leave you with a thought to really chew on. Are you ready to fully trust your inner compass and embrace these sacred addictions? If you recognized yourself at all during this explainer, please know that these traits are not burdens. They are absolutely your superpowers. That restlessness, the extreme sensitivity, the total inability to accept a comfortable lie, that is just your spiritual GPS doing its job. Trust that the universe has invested way too much in your specific mission to ever let you fail. Thanks so much for hanging out with us for this explainer, and remember, keep trusting that inner guidance.